Are you worried about today's dire financial situation?
Put simply, I would argue the Biden economic plan is working.
The storms on Wall Street continued today after regulators seized the assets of Silicon Valley Bank, marking the largest bank failure since the 2008 financial crisis.
Do you worry you'll have enough to pay your mortgage, pay your children's college tuition, enough to retire?
I believe our banking system remains strong.
Regional banks in focus once again today as the market digests the fallout of the First Republic failure.
You have questions, we have answers. It's the Gold Standard with Ken Russo and Jennifer Horn.
Thanks for joining us on the Gold Standard Radio Show. I'm Jennifer Horn, joined by Ken Russo from Midas Gold Group. If you're thinking about gold, veteran owned, America First Patriots, Midas Gold Group, 855-322-4653, where you can talk to my broadcast partner, Ken Russo.
Yeah, well, maybe some people aren't interested in gold out there. Maybe they like Bidenomics or voodoo, what is it, with voodoo economics back with George Bush. And
Voodoonomics, I like that. I
and
like
how about with Barack Obama, or did they have anything with him? Was it Barackonomics or was
I think
Obamonomics?
Obamics.
Oh, there
Obamics?
you go. Abomination.
It was something. It was abomination.
Yeah.
That's right. And boy, they have not given up
No,
because
it's gaining steam.
Still pretty crazy. We've got Janet Yellen bowing to the Chinese. We laughed last week visiting our lenders over in China. You've got Joe Biden from beach chair scuffling and shuffling his way through the United Kingdom.
Well, he's in the Lithuania now. Did he fall down yet?
He has not. Well, at least by my tracker.
Okay,
now.
good.
I hope not.
Good, Joe.
He's upright.
Hang in there, Ice Cream Joe.
Yeah, and then you've got the WEF going on too, right?
Well, this is a whole nother level of lunacy. We'll get into a little bit of that today. But yeah, we're talking about a group of Nazis that have some real crazy ideas that we'll kind of get into a little bit.
You told me that the name of their conference, and you're right, we're going to talk about this in a second, but the annual meeting of the new champions. That's creepy. That's a Bond movie is what it is.
The annual meeting of the new champions.
How about that?
How about these people feeling so much about themselves? But the point is how are these people going to affect our money? Mm-hmm. And this is the same organization that has kind of promoted some ideas like the 15-minute city. They've promoted ideas like a cashless society, climate change. Blame everything on climate change.
You got it.
CBDCs. Mm-hmm. So it's all about control. It's all about monitoring and
big government.
And what we're talking about, Jen, is avoid the agendas.
That's right.
And how could you stay out of this system with all of your assets and have a little privacy while you still can? And that's where gold and silver comes in. And that's what I would urge people to focus on.
Absolutely. And if you want to talk about gold, precious metals, find out if they're right for you. Midas Gold Group, MidasGoldGroup.com, 855-322-GOLD. We'll be giving you that number throughout the program. In the meantime, Ken, let's go back to not necessarily where it all started, because gold started long, long ago. It still maintains its value. It has grown in value. Still recognized.
I know. Gold that was still traded 5,000 years ago in some form or another is still here.
It's incredible. And so obviously it didn't all start then, but 1971 was pretty significant.
Yes, it was. And that's when it kind of all started. Central banking system, printing money out of thin air, and we find ourselves in a huge hole today that we can't get out of.
And it all started back with Richard Nixon. Take a listen.
Accordingly, I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
No. But Yellen says everything is fine and safe.
Everything's great. That's what they want you to believe. But in the meantime, they are spending way beyond our means. They are borrowing. They are creating bubbles that simply cannot be.
How could they do this? I mean, you mean to tell me that you can just print trillions and trillions of dollars out of thin air and and just keep spending and spending and making these IOUs out of thin air? That's what you're telling me?
I guess that's what I'm telling you,
Oh.
Ken. I guess that's what they're doing.
Well, that makes me feel real warm and fuzzy about keeping all of my money in that type of a system, which seems to be like really benefiting them, but seems really dangerous, and like something could happen that our financial security is maybe at risk.
Well, we're giving them our money to play with. And what are we going to get as a guarantee back, right? Everybody always talks about FDIC insured. Well, to insure our money, they're seriously just printing more money to back it up. Just ask the people who lost money during the bank collapses already this year.
Yeah, and that's the answer. It seems to be over and over again. Well, we can just print more money. We can just spend more money. There's no ramifications. There's no consequence. Well, I would disagree with that wholeheartedly. And I would say there's definitely, and there will be, a huge reckoning.
Yeah.
And it could be right around the corner. And the question is how do you protect what you've saved, and how do you protect what you've built up to this point without it all just disappearing because of the moves that a greedy, corrupt central bank system has created? They created this.
And do you trust do you trust these guys to make the decision that is going to be holding your money secure? Or do you want to take a chunk of that, put it into gold, precious metals, hold them at home? It's a private transaction. You put them in your safe, whatever is safe for you. If God forbid something awful happens, it can be used as a currency. If not, you've got your money in an investment that you hold on to, that has retained its value over history, and it's out of the banking system, so you don't have to worry about some of these ding-dongs making really bad decisions and printing money to cover them up.
Yeah, ding-dongs. I like,
like that.
Yeah, and that sounded great, Jen. I mean, that's exactly what's going on, and it's almost like they want to use our money to run their system.
Right.
And then when we talk about the WEF, the World Economic Forum, with all these crazy ideas, I mean, who's funding organizations like this?
Okay, so I want to ask you that. So let's give out the phone number, 855-322-GOLD. If you're interested in holding some of the money that you've worked so hard for, pulling it out of this banking system that is corrupt, that at some point will be untrustworthy. 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-4653 or MidasGoldGroup.com. But let's talk about the World Economic Forum. And because this is one of the creepiest things, I've talked to people who have been to Davos before. It's a lot of people getting together, creating really bad ideas, using your money as seed money, essentially. Yeah,
I mean, and it amazes me that corporations and governments would be infiltrated by these sorts of ideas and absolutely following certain sorts of agendas that don't have our best interests in mind. So the question is let me read something real quick off of their website. It says the World Economic Forum is the international organization for public-private cooperation. The forum engages the most foremost political, business, cultural, and other leaders of society to shape global, regional, and industry agendas. That's what it says. I guess they just, they just claim themselves that they know what they're doing. But interestingly enough, it was established in 1971. Wait a second. The same year that Nixon gave that speech? Is that really a coincidence? It has to be. Come on. Headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, it's an independent, impartial, and not tied to any special interests. Well, that's good. That makes me feel better. The forum strives in all of its efforts to demonstrate entrepreneurship in the global public interest while upholding the highest standards of governance. Are you buying all this? These people sound fantastic. They do. They sound great. Yeah. The question, though, is why are they supporting and coming up with ideas like, well, you're going to own nothing, you're going to be happy, you're going to eat bugs. Right. Just trust us. 15-minute cities, vaccines, social credit scores, climate change, CBDCs, cashless society. To me, which is an organization led by the head lunatic Klaus Schwab, a Nazi for sure, it's all about control and monitoring. They're loonies. But the problem is that our governments and our corporations are listening to these types of people. And really, I want to drill into this because I think it's such an interesting conversation for people who are just starting out. And you hear all these
scary terms. People eating bugs, the 15 minute studies, all of these things. What is it that they're after? We know that Obama was a globalist. We know that Biden probably would push in that same stretch if he could.
No.
We know,
Ice cream Joe? Sweet Joe?
We know that there is going to be, or there is a push for this one world order, essentially.
We've heard President Bush say this many times, and we've listened to it on the show here about one world order, and that seems to be where we're headed. But the bottom line is it's impossible to believe with all this talk and rhetoric and ideology. Why on earth would you have all of your assets tied up in a system like that?
Run with people with those ideologies.
Makes no sense to me, So that's what we're talking about today. Yes, this is obviously eventually, inevitably going to get out of control. This is not what the United States is supposed to be. As a veteran-owned company, we're outraged and sickened by where our country is headed. It's emotional. But when we look at our clients and ourselves and our money, the one thing that everybody could at least do is to say, hey, there's no way in the world I'm going to support this kind of ideology. At least I can take my money out of a system like this. I'm not going to allow them to use my money to control their system.
Yeah.
I could have some privacy. I could have some money that's not monitored. It'll be there when myself and my family need it. And we all know that gold is the only form of real money. Everything else is just fiat backed by nothing.
And that's the change. Fiat backed by nothing. It's worth the paper that it's printed on. And especially the more and more that is printed, how much is really going to be there for you when you really need it. 855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD. That's the number for Midas Gold Group. And just to jump in for a second, for people who are just deciding about whether or not they can get into the gold market, this is something that if you haven't thought about before, but you're concerned when you see these headlines and you hear the rumblings, you can call and talk to Midas Gold Group. This is not a call center. You can ask questions. You can tell them your situation. It's really one of the reasons, my favorite reason, to work with a company like Midas Gold, because of that personal touch, the human touch that you get when you call.
Yeah, not a call center, Jen, and every single American right now should be outraged at what's going on. They should be very concerned about the safety and the value of their money, and they should be doing something about it today. First thing to do, give us a call, and we'll make some suggestions.
It's the only way you can take the government out of the equation.
You have to.
Have to. Call right now. Don't wait. 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-4653, MidasGoldGroup.com if you want to check it out online. 855-322-GOLD. There is a whole lot more up ahead. I'm Jennifer Horn. Ken Russo is here. This is the Gold Standard Radio Show.
Dr. Gorka here. You're listening to The Gold Standard with your hosts, Ken Russo from veteran-owned Midas Gold Group and Jennifer Horn. Owning private money in the form of physical gold and silver is perhaps more important than ever to your long-term financial security. As U.S. banks fail, the Biden administration sends hundreds of billions abroad while depleting our strategic oil reserves. However, the biggest financial threat may be coming from within: central bank digital currency. The patents have been filed and the big banks have released plans for implementation. Midas Gold Group sees tyrannical implications, the end of cash, the end of financial privacy, big government able to see your every purchase. Could there be ties to social credit? Hear more commentary on the political and economic issues that affect your financial security right here on the Gold Standard. You can create your own Gold Standard with a call to Midas Gold Group, 855-322-GOLD. That's 855-322-4653, MidasGoldGroup.com.
Welcome back to the Gold Standard Radio Show. Jennifer Horn, Ken Russo, all together having some fun this week. Even when the news is dire, Ken, I always love to sit with you and talk through it because we are not victims.
But it's fixable, Jen.
That's
Eventually, one day, we're going to come out of this better on the other side. The question is what happens in the meantime, and are you going to be ruined during that process?
The question is, are you ready to protect yourself and your family from government and world leaders that have run amok? And that's really the question you have to ask yourself today. You call 855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD, or MidasGoldGroup.com. Get more information. And Ken, last week we started talking about the stages of empire. And I said, when is the empire going to strike back? You can with gold.
Yeah.
But let's talk about it. What are the stages of empire?
Well, quickly, sound money, layers of public works, massive military, war, and then the end is very interesting.
None of this sounds familiar, by the way.
No. I mean, and it's reasonably to say, you know, we're at the end here of the United States of America as being the premier superpower. The last two stages of empire, currency debasement through deficit spending.
Wow.
Now, 32 trillion.
Yeah.
200 trillion maybe based on unfunded liabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows how many tens or hundreds of trillions that are lost and they're not even telling us about. It's going to lead to a currency crisis. Now, when the currency loses value, the price of gold will reflect that. Just like it did in the 80s when gold went up to $800 and some odd an ounce.
Sure.
And just like it did in 2011 when gold went up to $1,900 per ounce. Now, if we think about all the money that's been printed since the financial subprime situation in 2008, 2011 timeframe, and then with COVID, that reasonable excuse to print trillions more, very, just came up at the in the nick of time. Imagine that.
Exactly. It's amazing.
Gold could be $20,000, $30,000 per ounce when it reflects all of the money that's been created. Now, it hasn't done it yet for a variety of reasons. It's a manipulated market. But the main thing is that people are going to be really freaked out when the price of gold starts to skyrocket, because they're going to understand and have lost confidence in their currency. Now, the banking system and the government is going to try to do whatever it takes to make sure that people think gold is a waste of time. Oh, it's boring. It's not doing anything. See, it's not doing anything. Buy stocks, buy bonds. That's where the action is.
Will they call it racist?
Well, they may.
They'll say that gold is fascist.
Yeah, they could. Yeah. What is a woman? Anyway, but it could be racist for sure. Or maybe it's an oven situation. But the bottom line is it's inevitable. And I mentioned this to you a few weeks ago. If you have a credit problem and I try to solve that problem by issuing and giving you more credit, it's never going to be fixed until it breaks. So it inevitably, in our opinion, of course, and this is not financial advice, this system and our dollar is going to break. And the reason why you have gold is to protect yourself against that very thing.
And I think it's really important to underscore that gold does a couple of different things here. Number one, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the expert, Ken Russo from Midas Gold Group.
This kind of gold.
Oh, yeah, show them the gold.
Real stuff.
855-322-4653. What is that you're holding up? That is a 1 ounce gold piece, you said, right?
Yes. Briefly, 1 ounce gold Britannia, 24 karat gold coin. It's the coin of the UK. Every country, US has the eagle, Canada has the maple leaf, UK has the Britannia. Australia has the kangaroo. It's one way.
Has the COVID lockdown?
Yes. It's one way to preserve some of your wealth.
Yeah.
If you want to take some of your money out of the system and preserve some of your wealth, or maybe you have an IRA or an old 401k, and if you don't want to have it in all glamorous stocks or glamorous annuities or glamorous bonds, then no one really understands what exactly it is. Is it even real?
Right.
Well, you could have some of this real gold stuff.
And it doesn't matter what's printed on the front because the gold is the gold is the gold, right?
It's valued on the weight and the purity of the gold.
Okay, so gold does a couple of things. Gold, number one, is going to give us privacy. It's going to give us a private transaction away from digital currency, away from government oversight. It gives us a private transaction.
Absolutely.
It gives us something to hold on to in our own safe so we don't have to trust a banking system that is wobbly at best right now.
And why wouldn't you do that?
And why wouldn't we do that? It also provides us, God forbid, if we go into a really bad situation with currency that we can use in order to protect ourselves, feed our families, buy what we need to buy.
And based on our financial situation as a country, it's inevitably where we're headed.
And as you just mentioned, as that dollar starts to collapse, gold prices start to go up, and it can even become something that actually adds value to what you're holding on to. So there's 4 different possibilities here with gold. And again, this is why we say it's time to start thinking about it and thinking through your current situation.
Yeah, very relevant. You know, it's in the news right now, even though this would kind of seem like the calm before the storm, and it's the summer, and, you know, everybody's kind of looking at other stuff and kind of sidetracked, but don't lose focus, people.
Yeah.
You know, this has been decades in the making. It's not going to go away, you know, no matter what the stock market did today or what it did last week. And the price of gold doesn't even matter. You're not even doing it because you're, well, what did gold do today? It doesn't even matter. Get what you can out of the system while you still can, because there is going to become a time, in our opinion, where maybe the system's frozen. Maybe we can't get money out of the system. Maybe we can't move our money around. You saw at the beginning of the year when people were moving their money around out of those banks became insolvent really quick.
Yeah.
There may be some, you know, laws or bills passed that doesn't allow us to move a certain amount of money out of the banking system on any given day or in any given time period. That's not unreasonable. So you got to be in front of this, Jen. You have to try and understand where we're headed, and you got to try to protect what you can
Especially
now.
just look around. I mean, it's a bizarre time. Yeah, we talk and have a little fun with the politics and the political news of the day, but holy smokes, you look around and you have economists that are saying we're either in a recession, we're nearing a recession. Now those comments have backed off a little bit. The stock market's doing okay, but it doesn't feel like it's 100% solid. The real estate market is kind of bizarre. Everything is just a little weird. And so why not hedge your bets? Personal responsibility. Do what you can to protect yourself, to hedge your investments. You do that with Midas Gold Group.
Defense, right, Jen?
You know what? We're both sports people, and a little defense sometimes beats even a good offense. 855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD for Midas Gold Group. When people call you, Ken, what is some of the reasons that people are afraid? Because I think there's always that factor of the unknown. What are people afraid of when they jump into gold and precious metals for the first time?
I think that they don't trust the system, and they don't trust the banking system. I actually read a poll today, back in 1979, 60% of all Americans trusted the banking system.
Wow.
Today, 26%.
Unbelievable.
So that means that 3 out of every 4 people don't trust the banking system. Now, that's scary, especially when our money's not there. It's not.
Yeah.
Everybody who's listening who thinks that their money's there at the bank, it's not there. It's fractional
they ship it
banking.
away.
They invest it. They loan it out. They generate fees. So it's an unsafe system. People are concerned about the value of their money. They're concerned about the ability to access their money when they want to. They're afraid that it's not going to be available when they need it. And they're also afraid that it's going to lose significant value because of what's going on and the danger of the system and the riskiness of it. And I got to be honest with you, I don't think there's anything about those statements that's crazy or untrue. To me, it's very realistic in a time where the markets are the riskiest that they've ever been.
So when you talk to people, and again, you are one of the people that are on the phones at Midas Gold Group during the week at 855-322-GOLD, Ken, when you talk to people and they ask you these questions and you kind of go through all of this reasoning, what is your outlook for all the reasons we said to consider gold? What is the most important for people to understand?
Well, I think they need a place to hide for the next 5 or 10 years to wait and see how this all plays out. I think that everybody has a gut feeling that it's going to end pretty ugly, that this is a house of cards.
Yeah.
And eventually it's a big bubble that's going to pop.
Protect your house, right? Don't let the cards come down.
This is gold is insurance for your nest egg. It's insurance for your money. People want to know that they have at least something left. And no matter what happens, no matter who plays what card, no matter who monitors what, no matter what's frozen, you know that at least, no matter what, you'll at least have your gold and you'll have your silver. And a lot of our clients are very happy with at least knowing that.
So guys, don't wait. Now is the time. Write this number down, 855-322-4653, 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-4653, MidasGoldGroup.com. Thanks so much, Ken Russo. I'm Jennifer Horn.
Jen.
This is the Gold Standard Radio Show.